This is a world where humans and vampires coexist, where the vampires dominated after a long-running confrontation. As the vampires stormed the town, a mother told her 2 children to hold their breath and to not come out of their hiding place, no matter what. She closed the closet apologizing, telling them they must live on, knowing she and her husband were destined for death. Another midday nightmare for Du Xiaoxin, but this nightmare is the reality of a world dominated by vampires. As she left the class, overhearing how happily her classmates who were deprived of their freedoms praised the idea of getting their blood drunk. The teacher asked her to deliver a stack of papers to the music classroom, and inside, she was horrified to witness one of the members of the royal vampire family, Roy Lopezt, having just finished a bloody meal. He called out to her, but she quickly shut the door and ran away, upset at the sight of a filthy vampire, until he pulled her down directly, saying it was bold of her to ignore him. She begged him to let her go, making him wonder if she was just playing hard to get in order to draw his interest. But of course, being the prince, he thought she should take this as a privilege to become his thrall. This gave Xiaoxin PTSD flashbacks to her parents' murder, causing her to scream, "How nauseating! Don't touch me with your filthy hands!" as she slapped him. This somehow gave him a cut on his cheek, making him smirk because he was finally pissed. He quickly pulled her up, announcing in front of the whole school outside that she was now his enemy, and many students were appalled that a human would dare offend His Highness. As Xiaoxin ran away, Roy only thought of how he despised humans for being greedy, cowardly, and never respecting promises. He thought back to when he was a little boy, searching for his previous blood servant, named Flay, who had gone missing. His older brother, Lodower, had confirmed she left. Roy just couldn't believe it since she said she'd stay by his side forever. However, Lodower reiterated, adding it's impossible for humans and vampires to be together forever. All humans were destined to abandon them. Outside, Xiaoxin was getting ruthlessly bullied by some other girls for trying to seduce His Highness. She challenged them, asking if they had any dignity as humans, but these words landed on deaf ears, with the girls who slapped her asking if dignity could be eaten as food. Thinking of his old servant Flay, Roy was somewhat pained watching the other girls bully Xiaoxin. They were threatening to cut her hair, but he held his ground, thinking at any moment she'd start crying and begging for his mercy. She ran away from more bullies, beginning to beg for help, but realized no one here would save her. Eventually, someone tripped her downstairs. Before she passed out, she reflected, thinking if she had just endured, everything would pass by peacefully. But it didn't. She did this all for her dear brother, Xiaolian, but she was so helpless. In the evening, Roy's best friend Xin mentioned that girl from earlier had fallen down some stairs and was taken away by a group of guys with ill intention written all over their faces. And this shook Roy. Xiaoxin was getting roughed up by Mesa, a vampire girl who didn't like Prince Roy being disrespected. As her lackeys were about to defile Xiaoxin, Roy appeared, commanding them to back off, even scolding Mesa to get out. He then touched Xiaoxin's cheek and licked her forehead wound to heal it, staring at her longingly. And I'm staring at you longingly until you like this video and subscribe to my channel. Look into my eyes. Ooh. You better subscribe because here at My Shoujo Weekly, I've got plenty of stories to share involving action, romance, and drama. I also live stream weekly, where I yap about interesting anime topics and play games with you. So come on, hit that subscribe and join me live. Bringing her to his quarters, he commanded his maids to tidy her up. Walking out, his brother, also chairman of the school, questioned what he was doing, but Roy told him it was none of his business. Lodower could tell it was Xiaoxin's long hair that reminded him of his childhood thrall, Flay. Roy denied this though, instead walking out to the balcony to stare into the sky. He then went to check on Xiaoxin, who escaped by climbing out the window. Running away, she couldn't find any exit in sight, wondering why these crows were chasing after her. She got knocked off of a cliff, where Roy caught her in the nick of time, uttering, "What a troublesome woman." The branch snapped, and when they fell, he bled, breaking her fall. She didn't even know vampires could lose blood. Roy knew if he lost too much, he'd be compelled to drink, so he told her to get lost. He didn't want to kill her. At first, Xiaoxin asked why he saved her, but then shifted to telling him he could drink from her, because even if she died, she absolutely did not want to owe a favor to a vampire. The prince grew smug, however, saying he couldn't make sense of her. Previously, she tried to escape, but now she's not afraid of dying? He pushed her against the wall, asking how badly did she want her blood sucked, and which part of her body did she want him to suck from. He'd let her choose. She questioned why it mattered which part, because wasn't he just drinking her blood? For him though, he felt a toy should of course make its master happy. She began thinking she couldn't be here feeling compassion towards vampires after what they did to her parents. She felt like she was letting her brother down again. As the night went on, with Roy spooning her, she wondered why he didn't suck her blood. His response was he'd do as he pleased, and thought it'd torment her more to have her owe a favor to a filthy vampire. He wouldn't let her escape his grasp. Hearing his playful demeanor, she kept telling herself she shouldn't get deluded by his playful words. She tried to get up, looking for the exit, promising she wouldn't try to escape again. However, Roy told her that it wouldn't be easy for a human. In a forest with miasma as dense as this, most humans would probably never return. If she wanted to stay alive, he needed her to follow him close. Walking together, Xiaoxin pulled her hand away. She was scared for her life, but disliked him touching her more. He then remarked she seemed to despise vampires more than anything. Holding her close, he felt her trembles non-stop. He liked her fearful expression though. She pushed away, falling onto the ground. Roy offered his hand while reminding her what state she was in, but she just slapped it and ran away. She eventually ran into a ghostly figure of her brother, who told her she'd been defiled by vampires, causing her to sink into depression, only to suddenly wake up in the bed the prince had given her. She noticed the window was barred, but she thought she had clearly escaped yesterday. She ran to the doors, begging to be let go, so the prince pulled her aside and climbed on top of her. He explained the miasma from yesterday gave humans hallucinations, and if he had left her, she would have died. For leaving him, though, her punishment is being his new thrall. But if she refused, then her little brother could take her place. This left her in tears, knowing she had no chance for escape. Wanting to protect her only family left, Du Xiaolian got up early, knowing today his sister would be returning from the capital's campus. The women whisper amongst themselves at how kind he is, but also how unfortunate he is to have such a severe heart disease. If not for that, he was certainly beautiful enough to have taken the liking of many vampire nobles. Xiaolian stumbled against the wall, muttering how his sister would have never gone to a school run by vampires if it wasn't for the scholarship she received for his treatments. Then suddenly, one of his sister's classmates came by, telling him she was in trouble, causing him to become distraught. On another day, Roy is annoyed to hear Xiaoxin hasn't eaten for almost 2 days now, so he goes into her room, telling her he won't let her go just because she's going on a hunger strike. But trembling, she only uttered she wanted to go home, even if it was just for today. They then got the notice that her brother was here, so Roy pulled her in close, saying, wasn't she happy now that her family was here to see her? But no matter how much she wanted to see him, she didn't want her brother to see her with a vampire, still thinking about the ghostly figure of him that was disgusted with her. Roy could tell what she was thinking, so he pulled her into the meeting room and commanded her to stay behind the curtain to quietly watch them. Xiaolian was then brought in, where his sister tried calling out, only getting held back by one of Roy's servants. He then immediately got on his knees, begging the prince to let his sister go. Roy just smirked, cockily remarking he thought Xiaolian would have a backbone like his sister. Xiaolian kept begging for his sister's release, but when he passed out from his heart disease, Xiaoxin ran to his side. Roy then called his servant to bring the best doctor in the vicinity to take care of the boy, and after treatment, the doctor said it would be best for him to be hospitalized. So, he agreed to it. Roy originally wanted to lecture Xiaoxin for being stupid for a bit, to make her realize her position, but he didn't expect it would come with this many problems. She then suddenly passed out, so Roy came to her side, realizing she was weak from lack of food. When she woke up, he explained her brother was being taken care of in the capital's best hospital. She wanted to see him, but he refused, because her body was weak right now. He told her to eat this congee first, and even though she tried refusing, Roy was sensible, reminding her she needed to recover to visit her brother. She took the bowl, but she was so weakened, she shook just from holding it. So Roy took it from her, blowing the porridge to cool before feeding her. Later, she gained enough strength to visit the hospital, where Xiaolian admitted he felt useless not being able to help his sister. She then held him, telling him it wasn't his fault. As long as they had each other, that's all they needed. Outside the room, Roy watched Xiaoxin's caring demeanor towards her brother. He was surprised to see she had such a beautiful smile. He then called her to come back with him, and walking along the way, she told him she wouldn't run anymore. She just asked him not to bar her of her freedom. Her plan was to graduate and find an opportunity to take her brother far away from this place. Hearing all the details later, Xin teased the prince had fallen for Cinderella. However, Roy ignored this, instead asking Xin to investigate who told Xiaoxin's matters to her little brother. Finally heading back to school, all the students were talking crap about Xiaoxin, even bullying her. They really didn't like her fraternizing with the prince. That's when a member of the student council, Senai, appeared to save the day. Xiaoxin thanked him for the help, but noticing her wounds, Senai took her to the infirmary. If he had noticed, he would have protected her from the bullying much sooner, but she wondered if getting involved would cause him trouble. He told her there was no trouble at all, and that humans ought to help each other. She gasped, surprised to hear someone finally willing to be on her side. Walking her out, you can overhear girls gossiping about her going after the disciplinary student council member right after hitting on His Highness. But Senai just patted her head and told her not to mind them. Roy then appeared, not too happy, and ushered Xiaoxin away. He brought her back, throwing her onto the bed. She asked why, only for him to answer it's his freedom to treat his thrall however he wanted. He held her face, asking who hit her, but it was thanks to him that everyone on campus targeted her. This pissed him off, but she wondered why. He then closed in on her, giving a light peck making her bruise go away. Seeing her face full of anticipation really excited him, but running his finger down her, he thought it was time for punishment and told her to take it off. She was shocked at first, and seeing her trembling truly pleased him. As she began to unlace, he told her, never mind, saying this time it would only be a small punishment, but if she got entangled again, he wouldn't spare her. She was annoyed knowing he was provocative on purpose. Senai tried reaching out to her the next day, but she wanted to keep her distance. He was concerned for her safety, but she didn't want him getting involved and possibly earning the prince's ire. However, Senai told her he wouldn't turn a blind eye, knowing she's afraid, but she insisted he stay away, covering her bite marks as she ran. Later that night, the prince playfully asked if she obediently kept her promise. Since she was good, he had her sit on his lap, reminding her she shouldn't have an attitude with her master. He then brought her to the balcony and took a dancing position with her. He then practiced dancing with her, as he needed her to attend an upcoming ball with him this weekend, and didn't want her to be sloppy. She was resistant at first, but the more they danced, the more she slowly came to enjoy it, until she realized the ball would be filled with vampires. She suddenly began feeling sick and took her leave. Xin then appeared, wondering why Roy wanted her to attend since he usually went alone. So he explained that presenting her to a den of lions. She then realized the only one who could protect her is him. Xin commented on Roy's possessiveness, wondering if Senai provoked him, but he ignored it, opting to go look for Xiaoxin instead. Running to the fountain, Xiaoxin wondered what Roy's motives were. She just couldn't figure him out. Chairman Lodower then appeared, asking what she was doing out so late. Seeing her up close, he remarked she really did resemble Flay, especially with her long hair. Then suddenly, he shoved her into the fountain, then explaining that Servant was Roy's favorite as a child, and that Roy is interested because she resembles her. In the end though, that thrall still betrayed Roy and ran away. He didn't want another hurting his brother. Roy then suddenly appeared, telling Lodower to stop. He didn't need other people to lecture his thrall. He then held out his hand, commanding her to get up. As they walked away with her soaked, Xiaoxin wondered why her heart was such a mess, and why Roy was so gentle with her. Arriving back, he told her to keep practicing her dance skills for the next 2 days. Also, to shower and rest early. He told her she didn't have the right to catch a cold now. As she slept, she had the dreams of her aunt, who visited for a specific reason. Xiaoxin woke up, trying to remember what that reason was. In class, a student told her a doctor was calling for her. On the phone, she learned Xiaolian's condition had suddenly deteriorated, and he was in critical condition. She then hurried her way out. However, she was stopped at the gate, since students were forbidden from leaving campus on non-designated days. She tried to explain her emergency, but still, They reiterated it was against the rules. Senai then came by and told her to follow him. He explained school rules were strict, and even he as a council member had no say. He then brought up one way she could leave, the nobility badge that Prince Roy had. If she obtained it, she could leave with no problem. She thought to ask Roy first, but Senai believed it'd be best if she stole it, since if the prince refused, she'd have no chance to see her brother. Senai explains he too used to be weak, and didn't have the courage to protect his friend who was bullied by vampires. He blamed himself for indirectly killing his friend. He didn't want another tragedy ever happening to her friend again. Trusting his words, she actually first went to see Roy. He was happy to see her, especially since it was the first time she proactively came up to him. With him grabbing her face, Xiaoxin knew he only saw her as a toy and wondered if he'd seriously consider her request. She then mentioned her worry for her little brother, but before she could elaborate, he said her brother was fine at the hospital with nothing to worry about. She was surprised to hear Roy didn't know of Xiaolian's critical condition, or maybe he didn't care. His servant then told him he had to hurry to an important meeting, so he took his leave. So, she snuck into his room and stole the badge. Running out, Senai caught up to her and offered to come along just in case anything happened. They exited the gate, and running along the way, Senai noticed they were being tailed, probably by others who found out she'd stolen the badge. He told her to run to her brother, and that he'd stay behind to stop them. So, they wished each other to stay safe as she ran off. She burst into Xiaolian's hospital room, where he was peacefully reading. Turns out, he was completely fine, but she jumped in to hold him, relieved, but now wondering what was going on here. She checked her pockets, shocked to find the royal badge was missing, so her brother asked what's wrong, but she gave an excuse so as not to worry him. She tried remaining calm, hoping to find the badge on her way back. But wait, what was with the doctor's phone call then? Was this all a ploy to get Roy's badge? Perhaps this was Senai's doing. A vehicle pulled up, and Roy came out, wondering how she got here and who let her out of the gate. Xiaoxin was conflicted, wanting to tell the truth, but knowing if she did, matters would become even more complicated. She felt genuinely bad, because no matter how much she hated vampires, she didn't want to cause trouble for Roy. She admitted half of the truth, telling him she took his badge without permission to see her brother, and lost it. However, Roy already figured it wasn't an idea she could have come up with, and wanted to know who goaded her into doing it. He told his servant to locate his badge and investigate Senai. But now, it's time for Xiaoxin's punishment. Having her pressed against a tree, he first drank from her neck, tasting the blood that dripped, then bit her wrist, and the pain made her beg to be let go. However, he'd only be gentler if she called him Master. Since she had met Roy, her life had become a mess. Not only did she get hurt with unclear reasons, and rescued with unclear reasons, but even got treated as a pawn to deal with Roy for unclear reasons. She wondered if now she was a loathed toy who'd be discarded for unclear reasons. She didn't want to continue being like this, being led by the nose. She accepted her place being a blood servant, knowing one day he might get tired of her and abandon her. But before that happens, she wanted to help him get his badge back. Seeing her remorse really surprised him. She tried continuing on, but then passed out, so he held her close, believing her attitude to still be subverting his expectations. She woke up in her usual bed and learned from the maid she'd been sleeping for 2 days now. Today was the day of the banquet. She thought Roy was going to take her, but wondered why there'd been no sign of him yet. Walking in the halls, she overheard the maids talking about how Roy was getting criticized by other nobles for giving so much attention to such an inexplicable woman, and that he'd have trouble getting into the ball now with his badge missing. Xiaoxin hurried her way there, but Xin stopped by her in his vehicle and offered her a ride. She recognized him as Roy's best friend, but wondered why she should trust him. However, he knew her position, given she had no way to get through the school gate without him. He wanted her help with something as well. She accepted, but he didn't accept her current outfit, and got her in proper ball attire. We learn this ball is an occasion to show off the noble's powers, and is especially important for someone like Roy, who was a candidate for the Council of Elders. Excluding their ancestors, the Elder class was the most powerful class of vampires. So with Xiaoxin being Roy's blood servant, he needed her to be outstanding, otherwise it'd be improper. At the entrance, Roy's entry was obstructed with him lacking his badge, and the other nobles taunted him for losing it. They continued to taunt him, walking in leaving Roy behind. He suspected the one who stole his badge must have plotted the whole thing, because normally, his face would be enough to get him in. A woman then came out, telling Roy to enter the Hall of Elders, as they wanted to speak with him. The elders scolded him for losing the badge, a symbol of status and glory to a vampire's entire clan. They argued if he couldn't even take care of a badge, how would he be competent enough to succeed as an elder? Roy brought up the fact that someone might be plotting against him to remove his succession as a candidate. But still, if he couldn't even fend off someone's plot against him, then his competence would still be in question. There was no worry for Roy though. He promised to recover the badge within 24 hours, and if not, he'd give up his right as an elder candidate. So they accepted. Walking into the ball, the vampires around took notice of Xiaoxin's beauty. Xin was gonna go find Roy, so he wanted her to stroll around by herself. She spotted Senai and asked to have a word with him in private, making him smirk and leading her to a good location. We learned his real name is Will, and she confronted him for stealing the badge. He then began to grab onto her, but Roy quickly appeared to shove him away, telling Will not to touch his woman. She was surprised to hear he was actually worried about her. One of the elders, Leonard, then came out with Xin behind, and as Will was trying to frame Roy, the royal badge fell out from his pocket. He was shocked, thinking he had put it somewhere safe, and at that point, everything fell into Roy's palm as he asked why Will had his badge, and thus, Will was ordered to the Hall of Elders for punishment. He objected, saying Xiaoxin was framing him, and we turned back to where driving on the way here, Xin had already recovered the badge he'd found in Will's room. Xiaoxin had felt sorry for Will at first, remembering he lost a dear friend to the vampires. However, Xin cleared this up, laughing, because he knew that story was fake. Will was a vampire himself. Xin used this opportunity to give her the badge, so she could plant it in Will's pocket. Will kept cursing her name. However, Roy silenced him, not wanting anyone to slander his woman. Will was making his last stand, claiming Roy didn't qualify as an elder for defending a human. But before their argument could continue, Leonard commanded Will to be thrown out of the building and to be expelled from the school. Will tried begging for another chance, but was turned down, as Leonard would not respect anyone willing to throw away their dignity. As he was taken away, Xiaoxin reflected on a truth that scared her more than dealing with Will, the fact that she delved headfirst into the world of vampires, all for Roy's sake. Afterwards, Roy took her to the school water fountain, knowing she must have still been anxious around all the vampires. She was surprised he took note of it, but he blushed, saying not to misunderstand, he was only doing this because she helped him too. He just wanted to reward her a little. So now, he wanted to see the results of her dance practice. As the two danced under the stars, she asked if there would be more people who would come after his candidate spot, just like Will. She didn't want to cause him trouble again. She suddenly misstepped, but Roy caught her, and the two stared eye to eye with the wind flowing. He then went in for a passionate kiss, one that Mesa painfully stared at from behind the scenes in tears. Noticing someone was there, Xiaoxin pulled away. So, the prince told her they could head back to their place to continue. Ooh. As Lodower and Leonard watched the two leave, Lodower remarked that his little brother was everything to him, and he needed a way to get rid of his new blood servant. Back at their place, Roy threw Xiaoxin on the bed. She wondered if he was going to suck her blood. However, touching her face, he implied things a little differently. Going in for kisses, he told her she was a good girl, and he wouldn't hold back anymore. The next day, she woke up to him staring at her. Getting up flush red, she asked why he was lying in her bed. But actually, this is his bed. He reminds her of yesterday's events, only making her more red. He wanted to continue yesterday's interesting stuff, but she ended up falling asleep on him. She tried to escape, but he wasn't gonna let her go, especially given he didn't sleep last night. He presented her a sparkling breakfast, saying he needed her fattened up a bit, because a blood servant who faints after just 2 bites was outrageous. She claimed to be in good health, but how could she be, having fainted for 2 days the last time he drank from her? Roy then held up a slice of cake for her to eat from, and she seemed happy. He then wiped off some of the cream on her face, and told her to eat it off of his finger. She asked him not to do this, but he insisted, so she gave in to his order. After the meal, the two headed to school together, and even with the students gossiping about Xiaoxin, Roy wasn't gonna let them. He left her at her classroom, saying he'd pick her up after school. After classes, she went to the balcony by herself, questioning if she was becoming like the thing she despised most. Roy came in, wondering why she left him, and then took her away to show her something. He had given her a whole wardrobe closet so that she wouldn't have to keep wearing school uniforms. He didn't want anyone looking down on his lady. She was silent though, making him question if she was so happy she was speechless. However, this guess was wrong, as she told him she didn't need any of these things. She agreed to be his blood servant, so her brother could continue receiving treatment. As long as Xiaolian was safe, she didn't need anything else. But for Roy though, now that she was fully accepting her place as his blood servant, he needed her to fulfill her mission, and becoming cuter was also a part of that. He lightly bit her ear, causing her to push away, so he then had her against the wall, claiming this current cat and mouse game of resistance had little meaning. He then gave her a kiss, and told her this wouldn't be her last one. It'd now be a 1 kiss minimum per day, and if she couldn't do it, naturally, he'd find other ways to punish her. Laying in bed, she kept questioning why Roy was so considerate towards her. She'd rather be treated coldly by him than receive this gentleness with uncertain meaning. Someone then entered the room and she thought it was Roy at first, but turns out it was Lodower, who taunted her for receiving princess treatment from his little brother. He went even further, telling Xiaoxin his brother only liked her because she resembled his previous blood servant. He mocked the expressions she made, getting kissed by Roy, and called her nothing more than a substitute, adding that he'd eventually grow tired of her and cast her aside. The next day, Roy came up to her side, asking what was wrong, and that's when she asked him if she really resembled Flay. This caused a furious reaction from the prince, as he shouted she should never mention her name. Taking his leave, Xiaoxin was shaking on the bed, knowing this Flay was so special in his heart. Were all the moments she personally had with him just a misunderstanding? She had never seen Roy so angry before. The next 2 days, she didn't even see him, until one day, he walked right past her in the halls, not even acknowledging her. But even if she wanted to stop him, what could she say? Should she ask why he was angry and ignoring her? Or is her position nothing more than being a substitute? There's no way she could say these things, and wondered why she should even care. This wasn't like her. Lodower's words only drove Xiaoxin's insecurities. While hanging out, Xin asked Roy why he seemed so preoccupied lately. Roy denied any wrongs. However, Xin already knew Roy was restless over Xiaoxin. Laughing, knowing his best friend was actually swaying for a woman, Roy got angry enough to shout at Xin and told him to stop running his mouth. Later in class, Xiaoxin found a letter from Roy that read he'd be waiting for her by the school fountain, so she went out in the pouring rain, only to be harassed by some of her classmates. She knew the letter was fake, but a part of her was so desperate to speak with Roy again, she lashed out at the girls, asking if they had anything more meaningful to do. But for them, doing the bidding of vampires was their only meaning. They hit her, upset, thinking Xiaoxin had been looking down on them since she was the prince's personal thrall. They then cuffed her to the gate, leaving her to soak in the downpour. Thinking about her special moments with Roy, she wondered if the rain could really clear her mind. The next person to harass her was Mesa, who especially hated Xiaoxin's relationship with Roy. Mesa then took a bite right out of her, hoping to drain her blood and give her despair. But suddenly, she was struck in the back with a dagger, and a mysterious figure quickly pulled it out and dispatched her. Walking towards Xiaoxin, Roy intervened, kicking the mysterious man away and covering Xiaoxin. As the man got away, Roy pleaded for her not to die. Xin entered where Roy was watching Xiaoxin, telling him the doctors said she'd be fine and that he should go rest. Roy ignored this though, only wanting more info on the assailant. Learning he used a silver dagger to pierce Mesa, Roy questioned how that could be possible, given this country's silverware should have been completely destroyed long ago, and this gets rechecked on a yearly basis. But supposedly, it was only 10 years ago that the Blood Hunter instigated clash happened. Xin thought this might be a blessing for them though, because had the assailant not come, Xiaoxin might have died from Mesa. Later, Xiaoxin found Roy sleeping by her side. He suddenly woke up, concerned about her condition, and her eyes began to water, wondering if it was really him by her side right now. Roy then got up, looking to get a doctor to make sure she was fine. However, Xiaoxin stopped him, saying she didn't feel unwell. He then came face to face with her, wondering if how cold he acted before had made her sad. She had no answer for that, only wanting to know why he saved her. In a soft tone, He told her it's because she's his personal blood servant. So, she pushed him away, saying she didn't want his gentleness anymore, because if this kept going on, then more and more, she wouldn't be able to stop caring about him. She didn't know what moment her heart started to get out of control, but she didn't know what to do. Roy understood she must seriously like him. He then went for a deep kiss. Now knowing her feelings were truly affected by him, he knew she said things that made her seem indifferent, but her heart said otherwise. So which was the real her? Regardless of what things Lodower put in her mind, she was not a substitute to Roy, but truly someone important to him. Later, the two took a walk outside, and Xiaoxin suddenly stopped, worrying about her little brother. Roy told her to not worry about him right now, and to just think of him instead. They then went out for lunch, and along the way, a poor little boy who was hungry begged for food to eat, freaking out realizing Roy was a vampire. Xiaoxin worried this would anger Roy, so she quickly pulled him towards the restaurant. Inside, he took note of this as the first time she'd held his hand, making her pull away. But while she took a seat, Roy ordered one of the servants to give a baggie containing food and money to the little boy. Xiaoxin was certainly surprised, now seeing Roy had compassion for both his kin and humans. Sitting down to only one drink between the two, Xiaoxin wondered if Roy was just teasing her. She was so thirsty, she went for a drink anyways, and that's when Roy went for his. This truly was like a date. Arriving back home in the evening, Roy had to take off for a meeting with the council, so Xin had some private time to talk with Xiaoxin. She denied her excursion with Roy to be a date, and Xin was fine with the fact that she and Roy weren't frank with their feelings at all. In his eyes, the only thing that mattered is that the two liked each other. He also told her not to worry about racial issues. However, in her mind, for humans, vampires are an existence full of fear and hatred. But now she wondered truly what the difference was. That's when Xin brought up how his eyes looked. He was actually a dhampir, half human and half vampire. Xiaoxin gasped as Xin explained he'd been bullied as a kid for this. But Roy never treated him differently. In fact, he thought of Roy's existence to be bright, and now asked if she was curious about Roy's past. Xiaoxin was certainly curious, especially about Flay. However, Xin actually thought it best if Roy told her himself. That night, she lied in bed, still really wanting to know his past. She still fought with whether or not she was in love with him, but wanted to regain control of herself. Roy wondered what she needed to control, suddenly appearing at her bedside. She was surprised to see him back so soon. As he cuddled up to her, he finished quickly because he wanted to come back to her, and now asked for her praise, making her giggle. He thought she was quite bold for laughing at her master, but forgave her since it was the first time she smiled at him, and then flicked her head. He then went for a kiss, fulfilling their daily quota, but they haven't been doing it for the past few days, so he wanted to make up for the rest right now. She then reached for his face, and they continued the kiss, making her hot. There were still many things she didn't understand about Roy. The him she first met, and the him now. She wondered which one was real, and what she was to him. But even so, she steadily sank because of his tenderness. Tonight, no matter what, she didn't want to let go of his hands. With Roy being busy the next few days dealing with paperwork on the Blood Hunter attack, he ordered Xin to walk Xiaoxin to school. Overhearing some girls talking crap about her, Xin wasn't going to let it slide, causing the girls to run away. Today was a very important exam day, and she needed to pass to keep her scholarship. Then suddenly, one of the girls raised her hand to report Xiaoxin as cheating, accusing her of keeping a cheat sheet in her desk. And oh no, Xiaoxin was being framed. Finding the cheat sheet, the teacher called her shameful because of these piece of shit bullies. But luckily, Roy appeared to intervene. He was tired of people mistreating his woman. Outside on the balcony, he announced Du Xiaoxin to be his personal blood servant, and that no one else was allowed to touch her. He then told her she could transfer to his class, and that no one would dare trouble her there. This caught the attention of the white-haired blood hunter, Mesa, Lodower, and the whole school as a symbol that Roy would always stand to protect her. Alright, what a nice end to another vampire series. Like this video and subscribe to my channel for more. Also, watch this next video. It's me, ComfyTea. I'll see you all in the next one.